All right, guys. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It is 6:32. It is October 4th. It is Wednesday. I hope everyone's feeling well. Listen, we've had a very complicated tape the past few weeks, but we've had some signals to look for, some ways to navigate it, some technicals to embrace and maneuver and figure out, and we have some time frames to go over. So, today with the futures kind of flattish, it's a kind of non-event. What I'm going to do, which I want to do a little bit different because I'm gonna. A lot of people like Red Dog. How do you stay so positive? How do you get up every day at 4:45 and go in your sauna, go in your ice plunge, do 40 charts, trade the market, talk to the alpha team? Have regular all access, make time for my son and my wife, and these are all things that we all need to do. And can be done. But it's not easy. It's working on your mental state. So I've talked to you guys about Pep Talk, which is this website that I use, and there's this thing called the Headway, which is all these audio books. So these are the things that I kind of listen to, like the coach's coach. So we'll do a little something a little different today on Hump Day. It's 6:33, so there's a 6-minute video on gratitude. I'm going to play this video, okay, because I think a lot of people are frustrated. A lot of people are upset that they're not at their highs in the year. A lot of people are upset that last quarter they didn't do as well as they thought, or maybe this year's a little bit more difficult than the past 2 years. So there are things you could think about to help with your state. So I'm going to play this video where you're going to listen. And as you're listening, I'm also going to go through some charts of just the indices and point to things that you could have seen along the way to make some adjustments to help you be in a better position to either have risk lower or be short or out of the way or anything you're supposed to be doing on multiple time frames. So if you don't want to listen and you think this is weird, you know what? Then turn this off. If you want to try something a little bit different, I think that these type of things help me. So I try and give some things that help me to help you because if I find value, and I think other people can as well. So I'm going to go through and point where you could look at the different things in the charts and read the language when I'm pointing to it, but also listen to this. Okay, here we go.
The number one thing that I'm completely convinced would work for everyone, the only thing that I'm convinced would work for everyone, it's hard, back to everything we've been talking about.
Hopefully you can hear all this.
It doesn't come natural to most people.
Listen.
But it is the ritual is practicing gratitude every morning. Gratitude practice. Oh, that's kind of wishy-washy or woo. It's going to involve, putting your hand on your heart and feeling into all the amazing things that you happen to have, even when things are really terrible. That's not where we're going at all. So if you are of the mindset that a gratitude practice is kind of weak sauce, buckle up, because the data actually point to the fact that a gratitude practice is a very, very potent way in which you can steer your mental and physical health in positive directions, and that those effects are very long-lasting. The foolish man seeks happiness in the distance. The wise grows it under their feet. I think that's the power of gratitude, right? You're not wishing for a future that you haven't earned yet, right? So how can we be grateful for all that's transpiring and manifesting right now in the moment and not looking forward to happiness in the distance? Because in the middle of whatever you're pissed off about or frustrated or fearful about or worried about, you're deleting all the things you can be grateful for, you can appreciate that are absolutely real. And that's the problem of the mind. You do not experience life. You experience the life you focus on. Most of us need a gratitude practice. We need to do certain things in order to feel good and to feel happy. We actually have to put work into it. Okay, brain, I know you're grumpy. I know you want to tell me the things that went wrong today, but your task right now is to go and find the thing that you're grateful for. Suddenly your brain goes like, oh, when I was searching for that thing you asked me, that I was grateful for, I found 3 other things I'm grateful for because I'm getting really good at it. Because life is full of blessings. I chose gratitude. Whenever I feel in my darkest moments, I run to gratitude because that's going to shift my whole attitude towards life. It'll make me have compassion. It'll make me give mercy and grace once I tap into the fact that I'm human. Gratitude's an excellent practice, man. Yeah. It's the opposite of arrogance and resentment. I think it's a great thing to become an expert at. And I think that you can allow yourself happiness if you're grateful. Be grateful. Be grateful for why you can't figure it out. Can't understand why you're so fucking awesome. Can't figure out why you're so great. Can't figure out why you're so ahead of your time. Can't figure out why you have answers to things that no one even knows the question to. Be grateful for that. I had a really good friend of mine. I went to lunch and he said, I don't know who this guy is here in front of me. And he goes, let me ask you a question, honestly. Right now, what are you grateful for? And at the lunch, I said, jack shit. Nothing, brother.
Jack
There's
shit.
nothing good in my
You
life
can't say
right now.
jack shit.
And I'm not exaggerating this to you when I tell you this, and this is a factual story. As I'm mouthing these words,
There's always something to be
people
grateful
walked
for.
in with an older man. Both of them clearly were fighting cancer somehow. Both had lost their hair. One of the ladies had a bonnet on, and they were barely moving in. Both walked by our table and gave me the most warm greeting, the warmest smile as a stranger. And he goes, that's pretty freaking pathetic. You can't find anything in your life to be grateful for right now. And on the drive home, I'm not kidding you, I started to stack gratitude. I started to take inventory. Because if you can find things to be grateful for in that space, man, is your life going to be rich when there really are external things to be grateful for.
Gratitude is one of the most strongest forms of power in attracting good things. You know, if you truly feel grateful for the things in your life, I always felt grateful for even the small things. I always used to celebrate the small things. Now I might be celebrating the bigger things, but I always celebrate every little good thing that would happen to me in my life, even before I had any kind of money or any of that. I would celebrate and I would feel grateful for it, and it just gave me more. And this is exactly the same thing that's happening right now. I still remain grateful, and more comes.
The pain was too much. What I've been through was too much. I'm homeless. I don't have food to eat. It's just, I'm done. So I would say to anybody, just look for the little things that encourage you, even if you don't see anything, the little small things that keep you going.
You won't ever get more until you're a good steward of what you have. You'll work hard for it, a little will come, but it'll go. It'll be too hard to maintain, it's too hard to get, because the gratitude says, I know what I've been given, and I'll be responsible for what I'll be given. I'm honored.
Life is like a gym. If you look over to the right, there will always be somebody in better shape than you. But if you look to your left, there's someone who would die to be in your position.
Gratitude is, it sounds like wooden beads and crystals, but it's fucking real. Yeah, that shit's real. Like, gratitude is real. It's like you're putting an energy out there that makes people feel good, and it makes people want to do the same.
I tell people all the time, if you want to change your life, it's very simple. 2 words, say thank you. Say thank you before you go to bed, and say thank you when you wake up. And I guarantee you, if you can do that for 30 straight days, your life will change.
So it is not happiness that makes us grateful. It's gratefulness that makes us happy.
I get a lot of value out of that. You know, you could probably write down 4 or 5 things that were said in that video compilation of very influential people that could put your mind in a better state while you're going through the process of this career in whatever, you know, phase or way you're doing it. So while you were listening, I went over the daily chart of the S&P cash and the weekly chart of the S&P cash, and I went over all the different ways that I approach the market. I'm not going to go over that again. Hopefully you read through, you saw the levels. Okay, I tried to point out days that were important. I put it in the language, I put it on the charts, and now here we are. So here are the SPYs, right? The SPYs are up a whole 4 cents today. Yesterday, we broke 425.91, broke 424.26, broke the lows of the year to hit 420.18. Now, some people are like, hey, Red Dog, is that enough? You know, kind of doesn't feel like it's enough. You know, I think the problem here is that, you know, the S&P is still up 11, 12% for the year, right? But it happened so fast that nobody was really involved. So by the time people got comfortable and then everyone was saying we're going to go up for the second half of the year, we started to pull in over the summer. That's just the way sentiment happens. Now everybody's saying we're going to have this big fourth quarter rally, so nobody wants to miss it. But meanwhile, we're bleeding lower, and we all know rates are going to go higher. There's no geniuses on TV. Oh, well, you know, rates are in control. Obviously, we know that. The question is, the market didn't believe that. So when the Fed was saying 5.4% for 2023 and 4.9% for 2024, you know, for most of this year, the market didn't believe it. And then finally on Fed Day, which was right here, is when rates started to go higher, and that's when the market said, ooh, the P's are too high. But so anyway, from here, the question is, what's next? It's October 4th, okay? Still, historically another week or so of really, poor calendar. We've already triggered, okay, from this head and shoulders top type pattern. Below it, we've made a new low here. The question is, are we going to see 418, 412, 408, over the next, over the next week or so? Maybe. How are we going to, look for clues of that? I think we have to look to tech. Money's been hiding in tech. Tech is held up. The reason why the oscillator is only minus 43 versus minus 77. Remember, on this day, the oscillator was minus 77. That's when I put my wife's first tier to work. And then we had a tradable move, which was a really good one, which a lot of people made a lot of money on. Now down here, the oscillator is only minus 43 because tech has been hanging in. So I think this is really important. So if you look at tech right now, if you look at the Qs, okay, you do have somewhat of a head and shoulders top. Somewhat. Here's your left shoulder. This could be your head. This could be your right shoulder. This, area could be your neckline, 351 to 353. If this were to break, if all of a sudden Apple plays downside catch-up and Microsoft, that's been a little crazy, if NVIDIA loses some relative strength, if things break down a little bit, chances are, we're going to get down to at least 342, at least, on the Qs. That's a big if. If we break this, 342 could happen. If this last move happens pretty quickly, which would be better if it was quicker because the slow bleed drives everyone nuts, chances are you're going to get that one overthrow move in the S&P cash, and that might be able to take us to, a better, more sustainable move for a fourth quarter rally. Last week, everyone's calling for a fourth quarter rally. I'm like, what's the matter here? First half of the year, nobody wanted it and called for a recession. Now everyone's looking for a fourth quarter rally. The chances are, when does it happen? I've seen markets like when everyone's forecasting something, all of a sudden, for 3 more weeks, you go down another 3-4%. And then by the time we get to a spot that you actually have it, nobody's looking for it because sentiment's so poor, and then you get it. So you can't just situate, if you trade actively for a living, for something you anticipate happening. You have to trade in the moment. So if the SPYs are to get, just say, down towards, 412 to 418, or maybe even this gap here at 408, which are the 3 levels below for 2018 besides a 200-day simple, then the Qs are going to have to break this 351 to 353 area to see that. If we hold this spot, okay, if this, then that, if that, then this, then chances are it's going to be hard to get much more downside, and then maybe, we get some kind of move. Obviously the 10-year has been in control. 10-year is making higher highs. It hit 4.81%, okay? The Fed still says this year it could be 5.4%, so you still have a ways to go. So nobody's in a rush to buy in the market if that's going to be the case. Everyone's higher for longer, higher for longer. They've said that for a year and a half, and nobody believed that. Anyway, then you look at the TLT making lower lows, okay, which has been in control of the tape. Remember this summer, I'm like, 99 matters, and everyone's like, Red Dog, you can't use the word matters. I'm like, why can't I use the word matters? Like, it's not, it's not socially acceptable anymore. Only one term could be with matters. I'm like, no, everybody matters. Okay? Doesn't mean this person doesn't matter if I say that matters. Everything matters. And also some things matter more to other people. But anyway, this mattered to the market when it broke 99. Now all of a sudden we're at 84, 89. I actually went out to next Friday, started buying a little calls just in case we get a big move in treasuries. I don't want to try and catch a falling knife, but my first time in months and I'm buying some calls. So I bought some $87 calls for next Friday, not this Friday. And then if you go to the weekly chart, pretty crazy here, not the weekly shows it, but really the monthly. We're right back where we were in 2006, 2007. That's pretty nuts. And the equity markets are still in Pluto, so something's going to give. Hopefully, so that's why you got to have multiple plans. Anyway, so the Qs in tech are going to be very important to figure out whether or not we get another move to wash out within the next week or so. Those are my thoughts. So what happens in there? So if the Qs are going to come down, right? Then what has to come down? Then Apple's got to get below and stay below 170.82. I think there was a small downgrade from KeyBank or something this morning. So Apple's showing a little relative weakness. So you do have this lower wedge type pattern here where if it were to break 170.82, maybe that brings the Qs lower and then it helps that situation. Right now, what's Apple doing? Apple is down $1.90. Isn't that cute? Because Apple was one of the strongest tech names yesterday. Now it's down $1.90. That's why some people are frustrated because there's not a lot of memory amongst things. And some remember Netflix yesterday. All of a sudden in the morning, Netflix comes out and says, "Hey, they might raise prices when the strike is over and the market and the stock finally had an oversold rally." Holy cow! You could have got your clock clean there. Okay, what do I mean by that? Well, if you were short Netflix, it squeezed, but then guess where it squeezed to if you knew your levels, 395, which is where it broke down from, and then it came all the way back. That's kind of crazy. So if you missed the first 15 points and it pulled back 7, and you're like, "Hey, I'm going to buy this dip," it turned into a disaster. There was no muscle memory from the 30 minutes prior. So just know there's not a lot of muscle memory from hour to hour to hour to hour. So be careful. You make money in one segment of the day, book it. So anyway, that was kind of crazy. You know, you can actually see it on this intraday. Okay, so let's go to the intraday. You know, here is that move. First of all, if a move like this happens, it should never give back this much of it. Okay, let alone, you know, within 20 minutes, all of it. And then basically it rallied back up, couldn't take back half, and then rolled over. But that's kind of violent action. Anyway, so just saying, if you make money in a trade, doesn't mean that trade's going to persist. So like now back to Apple. So Apple is going to be a key. Watch 170.82. It's already below it. If it stays below this spot, you have 169.05 and then 167. So Apple is a key. Another key, like first of all, look at Microsoft. Microsoft all of a sudden held 309. I'm like 315 is an area that's got to hold. It didn't hold, and you know who knows what the story with Microsoft is. Microsoft very choppy, broke this ascending channel right here, came in, gave you a little oversold bounce, looked good, looked like maybe you can get to 324, and then trapped everybody. That's again why some traders are frustrated. That's why some traders are staying in mostly cash. I've been in mostly cash since Rosh Hashanah. I've been in mostly cash since 2021, which again, you know, you can't make much money being in all cash. Some guys could be in 15 shorts. I'd rather be in mostly cash, pick spots long, and maybe be short a little bit at times, you know, and keep my brain sanity. So another thing is Meta. If you're watching it, Meta's been trying to hold in. Meta's been very, very choppy. Meta's danced with this area for so long. So if tech is going to play downside catch-up, which I'm not saying it will, but it might, which would give an overthrow move to the S&P, then Meta breaks this 299. What does that have to do? It's got to get below and stay below it. Okay, because yesterday it couldn't get above and stay above that to show some leadership. Now we'll see if it gets below and stays below. Then you have 293 and then 286. Okay, then you have NVIDIA. NVIDIA is the strongest stock out there, right? Yesterday, what did NVIDIA do? NVIDIA gave you a sell signal if you were actively long. Some guys have been actively long since it's 428. It hit 451. Hopefully use a tier system. And then yesterday, basically, it tried to hold up, but everyone lost a little faith saying, hey, if the market's going lower, why am I going to sit and be in a rush with this? Because obviously the tide takes everything back, especially when computers are programmed to sell when the dollar is up and interest rates are going up. So anyway, hit a low of 432.46. What's NVIDIA doing this morning? NVIDIA is down $2. So that's 433.05. So right now we are a little bit above this 432.46. Watch out if it gets below. See if it could hold this ascending channel. If this were to break, then all of a sudden there's really nothing acting like so in a rush. Market needs leaders to go up. Market needs a little FOMO to go up. Bottom line is everything's under pressure, and for the market to capitulate, everything's got to go down. So watch that. Obviously the banks have been disasters. Okay, here was your sell signal in the XLF. Okay, I haven't been in a bank since last Shavuos. When was last Shavuos? It was a long time ago. Anyway, look at that below the 8-day. I always post the 8 and 21 day, and I talked to you about that ebook that I did because it really helps. So if you're not listening to me and you're just trading like, well, Red Dog says below the 8 and 21 day, I shouldn't be in something actively. Well, look what happened right here. Okay, and then the other day I was talking about how people are buying puts in the KRE. KRE broke again. It's been below all the moving averages, and 5 banks blew up when the 10-year was at like 4.05. Now the 10-year is 4.8, and no regional banks are talking right now, so something might happen there. I'm just pointing it out. Anyway, just trending down, and then look at it. I want to give you guys an example. Some people are like, I haven't seen a good Red Dog reversal in a while. Well, Yesterday you had one in the utilities. If you didn't get caught in this mess, right? This historic move lower from 63.71 down to a low of 55.52. That's what a red dog reversal is. Down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days. You're not catching a full night, buying in here, buying in here, buying in here, buying in here. Okay, no. You're waiting for it to get below a prior low and reclaim that low and do a misdirection move, which is what happened yesterday. So if you weren't in the utilities, which you shouldn't have been, and then all of a sudden on TV when they talk about something 20 times in an hour, that's the CNBC barometer saying now we could go the other way. Then yesterday you had a little bit of a trade for cash flow. Doesn't mean it's going to go back here. Maybe it goes back towards the 8th day. Maybe you get a little bit more. Maybe you don't. But yesterday, as a tactical trade, if you wrote down 55.52, went to 54.92, reclaimed that spot, hopefully you made a little bit of money. And that's it. Love them and leave them. That's all you can do right now. XLE's up 11 cents today, so not much follow through if you took some home. And there's a little bit more room, but that was a nice trade, and trades happen. Okay, take your trades and run. Take your trades and run until we get into a better area where you put a few trades on and then they pay you to stay long them and massage them. That hasn't happened in a while. Let's hope that happens soon. So once again, at 6:53, hopefully you got a little bit out of the gratitude 6 minutes. I couldn't say it better. So this is the website. You see that P right there? Hold on. That's called Pep Talk. There's a free version. I'm not an influencer, and a paid version. Download that. Go to apps on your phone. And there's so many videos there that I listen to one a day, in the morning, in the afternoon. Coaches. Like I'm a coach. I have 194,000 public Twitter followers. I'm not sure Instagram, YouTube. I have thousands of people that I interact with every day on T3. So I got to keep myself sane because I got a lot of different personalities and things going on. I got to be strong enough to know when to say, no, that's not good. This is good. Let's do that. Let's stay away from this. Let's get in there. Let's not, all different time frames. And it just doesn't happen naturally. I work on myself every day to make sure I can be in a position to sit here and explain and add value to all of you. So you need to take accountability and start working on yourself and get your state better so you can execute with confidence and make sure your process is strong so you can know what to do, when to do, if this happens, then that happens, etc. with multiple plans. I appreciate you. Listen, tough times lead to better times, and stay the course because I've been here many times before since 1997, and things get tricky and then things get awesome. So stay the course. Know your time frame. Have multiple time frames. Use different approaches so you could always benefit from different time periods, and that's what I went over. If you look at the chart on the weekly chart, I talk about all 7 of my accounts. You may not be able to do it 7. You might be 22 years old or 25. I didn't have 7 accounts when I was 25. I'm 51. Okay, they go on through the years. So build, and it'll get you where you want to go. Once again, I appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in.